Jamie, I'd like you to cast your mind back to your days in the Old West. Okay, supposedly there's a cowboy myth from back then that you could disarm an opponent with your pistol without harming them.
You mean you could shoot a gun out of their hand?
Exactly.
I was wondering when we'd get around to that one.
The time has come.
Back in the Old West, any good guy gunslinger worthy of a sheriff's badge could supposedly disarm the bad guy with a single sharp shooting shot. But is this really possible? And would you really leave him and any bystanders totally unharmed?
Mine may not be so good the next time.
So, Cowboy, since you were there, you want to tell us how it worked in the Old West?
Well, there are two parts to this. The first is unarmed and the second is unharmed. Which do you want to start with?
Well, I'm thinking, how much force can you hold on to a gun with? Let's make a plywood cowboy, give him the same amount of holding strength, and take some shots at him.
Easier said than done, but we can give it a shot.
So, first up, Quick Draw Savage sketches a plywood posse. And to give his trio of tangerine bad guys accurate handgun-holding abilities, Jamie knuckles down and gets a grip.
This stuff right here is some of our favorite stuff to have around because it's like hook and loop, but it's actually hermaphroditic. It sticks to itself. Ah, perfect.
Next, the team saddles up and heads on down to the range, the gun range.
It looks great. An orange posse of trouble. We're gonna have to shoot their guns out of their hands. So I'm standing in the Chabot gun range, site of several other Wild West myth adventures by the MythBusters, including Son of a Gun. I think he did it. Gunslingers.
Are you kidding me?
And What is Bulletproof, both 1 and 2. This time, to answer the question, could this, the primary sidearm of the Old West, be used in a non-violent fashion? I.e., could you use this to shoot one of these out of your opponent's hand and disarm him?
Hey, Adam, come check this out.
What do you got?
This is my human hand grip simulator.
I love it. How do you want to test it?
If you hold on to this gun,
Okay.
and I yank it out of your hand and see what that feels like. All right?
Feel like you got something?
Yeah. I'll have you hold on to this thing just securely, and I'll yank it out of there. And if I feel like they're the same, then we're in business. That's spot on.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, let's mount it up and shoot at this puppy.
Okay.
The gun is placed in the bad guy's grip simulator as if midway through the draw. And with the help of a sharp shooting laser, Adam and Jamie take aim, ready to fire.
Perfect.
Okay, so we're gonna start off this myth with an impersonation.
Oh, great. Here we go.
Go for it.
Drive straight. Stay above 50.
How about another one?
There's a bomb on this bus. If you slow down, it'll explode.
All right, well, judging from your quotes, I take it we're testing another speed myth?
Right.
Right. Ever since Adam and Jamie tested whether you can prevent a bus from flipping over by moving all the passengers to one side, everyone has been requesting the bus jump myth.
I know this one. It's where their bus is speeding along and they get on an overpass that's unfinished and there's this huge gap. But somehow they pull off this leap across the gap, make it to the other side, drive away perfectly, and nobody's injured in the process.
Exactly.
You're not gonna do this through the whole myth, are you?
Yes, I am.
It's a classic scene from the green screen. It's a classic scene from the silver screen. The Doctors Jones, Jr. and Sr., are being chased by the Third Reich on bikes. But a flagpole in the front wheel of the nearest Nazi and a motorcycle flip-out sees our hero escape with a trademark cheesy grin.
This one's really interesting from a physics sense because when I look at that scene, it doesn't seem awkward or out of place, but it does beg the question, is it really that easy to redirect all the energy that's going this way to going that way?
I'm thinking that we break it down to its constituent components, test each one, and then put them all back together for a full-sized finale.
This will be fun. It's been years since I've been on a motorcycle.
Ever since that gang, right?
So first things first, it's a motorcycle myth, and we'll be needing a...
That's a bike.
Exactly.
Oh, it's lovely.
I actually rode across the country in one of these things.
No way. I'm just reeling from learning something about you I didn't know. It seems that there's a never-ending supply of those.
It's a single-cylinder, four-cycle. We call them a thumper. It's not like, it's like an old-fashioned bike.
Okay, it may be old-fashioned, but the movie bikes are vintage World War II.
I know what you're saying. You're saying this really doesn't look like a vintage World War II era motorcycle, and it is. In fact, it's from 1981, but it is the exact model of bike used by the stuntmen to perform their stunts for Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which means that it, and not some vintage bike, is the perfect test platform for us for this myth.
Now that that's sorted, let's kick things off as Adam and Jamie focus on the first aspect of the myth.
Since this myth is all about the poking of a flagpole into the spokes of a motorcycle, one of the things we want to know is how fast can we poke a flagpole?
Because once they know the speed of a human flagpole poke,
Nice, Tiger.
they can calibrate their remaining tests to just that.
Just plain funny to let you exert yourself like that. I don't know why exactly. It just is. High comedy.
Whatever floats your goat.
And the high comedy on the high speed reveals the magic number to be 30 miles per hour. Cue part 2 of the experiment, a remote control flagpole thruster.
You might remember this puppy right here from Birds on a Truck, because this was our pigeon catcher.
Yep, it's not a prop from Mad Max. It really is a pigeon catcher. Not that it caught any pigeons.
It has an air reservoir, it has a valve, it has everything we need to shoot the stick into the wheels of the motorcycle. I just need to change the barrel a bit and we'll be good to go. In 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, that looked a tad faster than 30 miles an hour to me. But let's see what Adam thinks.
1.
That might be a little too fast.
That's what I said.
Is everybody okay?
That's dangerous.
Yeah, we might have to tune that one back. The only problem that we're finding with this rig is that it seems to be giving us too much bang for our buck right now.
1.
That's 143 miles per hour. Almost no pressure in this tank. This valve is so big that the stick is still going at like 50 miles an hour, which is way faster than either of us could throw the flagpole. I'm not gonna get tired of that.
And so to get the speed they need, around 30 miles per hour,
This is an exceedingly weird operation.
they add some hose to decrease the pressure.
Firing in 3, 2, 1. That might be it.
That's it. That's the butter zone. 12 PSI, we get 28.5 miles per hour. That's perfect.
As odd as this sounds, after destroying their wooden backstop, they finally got the ex-pigeon catcher throwing a flagpole at a realistic speed.
This might sound crazy, but a lot of the fans are saying that you can actually make rope out of toilet paper, and it'll be strong enough that you could scale down a jail wall and escape.
Toilet paper? Are you serious?
All right, well, if we're gonna do that, I think we should do the all-time classic, making a rope out of bed sheets.
I know it's kind of out there, but let's also do the Rapunzel version of this, where you make a rope out of hair.
Ew.
So first things first, it's a motorcycle myth, and we'll be needing a...
That's a bike.
Exactly.
Oh, it's lovely.
I actually rode across the country in one of these things.
No way. I'm just reeling from learning something about you I didn't know. It seems that there's a never-ending supply of those.
It's a single-cylinder, four-cycle. We call them a thumper. It's not like, it's like an old-fashioned bike.
Okay, it may be old-fashioned, but the movie bikes are vintage World War II.
I know what you're saying. You're saying this really doesn't look like a vintage World War II era motorcycle, and it is. In fact, it's from 1981, but it is the exact model of bike used by the stuntmen to perform their stunts for Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which means that it, and not some vintage bike, is the perfect test platform for us for this myth.
Now that that's sorted, let's kick things off as Adam and Jamie focus on the first aspect of the myth.
Since this myth is all about the poking of a flagpole into the spokes of a motorcycle, one of the things we want to know is how fast can we poke a flagpole?
Because once they know the speed of a human flagpole poke,
Nice, Tiger.
they can calibrate their remaining tests to just that.
Just plain funny to let you exert yourself like that. I don't know why exactly. It just is. High comedy.
Whatever floats your goat.
And the high comedy on the high speed reveals the magic number to be 30 miles per hour. Cue part 2 of the experiment, a remote control flagpole thruster.
You might remember this puppy right here from Birds on a Truck because this was our pigeon catcher.
Yep, it's not a prop from Mad Max. It really is a pigeon catcher. Not that it caught any pigeons.
It has an air reservoir, it has a valve, it has everything we need to shoot the stick into the wheels of the motorcycle. I just need to change the barrel a bit and we'll be good to go. In 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, that looked a tad faster than 30 miles an hour to me. But let's see what Adam thinks.
1.
That might be a little too fast.
That's what I said.
Is everybody okay?
That's dangerous.
Yeah, we might have to tune that one back. The only problem that we're finding with this rig is that it seems to be giving us too much bang for our buck right now.
1.
That's 143 miles per hour. Almost no pressure in this tank. This valve is so big that the stick is still going at like 50 miles an hour, which is way faster than either of us could throw the flagpole. I'm not gonna get tired of that.
And so to get the speed they need, around 30 miles per hour,
This is an exceedingly weird operation.
they add some hose to decrease the pressure.
Firing in 3, 2, 1. That might be it.
That's it. That's the butter zone. 12 PSI, we get 28.5 miles per hour. That's perfect.
As odd as this sounds, after destroying their wooden backstop, they finally got the ex-pigeon catcher throwing a flagpole at a realistic speed.
This might sound crazy, but a lot of the fans are saying that you can actually make rope out of toilet paper, and it'll be strong enough that you could scale down a jail wall and escape.
Toilet paper? Are you serious?
All right, well, if we're gonna do that, I think we should do the all-time classic, making a rope out of bed sheets.
I know it's kind of out there, but let's also do the Rapunzel version of this, where you make a rope out of hair.
Ew.
So let's get cracking. To try to recreate this highly hazardous driving technique in the real world, the guys are using a pedestrian-free zone.
The lovely people at the Alameda County Sheriff's Emergency Vehicle Operations Center have lent us their driving course. It is a blank slate. I'm going to set up a whole bunch of cones that will create our city streets for blind driving.
Jamie is going to play the blind driver first, so Adam sets up the course alone. This means that the mustachioed maestro won't have the advantage of knowing its twists and turns.
In setting up the course for our blind driver, I've tried to add all the obstacles that we see in the movie. So I'm starting out with a nice long get your bearings kind of straightaway. That also includes a sharp left-hand turn. Right after that, I've got a second sharp left-hand turn. And I've included an obstacle for Jamie to swerve around. This ought to be all the challenges we need for our blind driver.
And that just leaves the car, which for this test comes complete with in-car cameras, a driving instructor called Derek, and a crucial safety feature.
This car is specially rigged with controls so that he can hit his own set of brakes and stop the car in case I get frisky on him.
With frisky Jamie blinded by science,
A lovely color.
where does he see the problem areas of the course being?
Obviously, the straight bits are going to be the easiest ones. The problem areas are going to be the turns, exactly how far I turn and when. That's going to be tricky.
You feeling ready, champ?
Yeah, let's do it.
Just like in the movie, Jamie will be totally in the dark, relying solely on Adam's directions.
My role in this test, I am literally a backseat driver. I will be giving him all the stimulus, hopefully, he needs to drive this course correctly, although I don't expect him to. I foresee many, many knocked over cones.
Woo-ha! It's time for ignition.
All right, Jamie, go forward. Just get your bearings. A little bit to the left, a little bit to the left. That's good.
Cruising at an easy pace down the straightaway, they come to their first bend in the road.
Okay, there's a turn coming up to the left. Excellent.
Made it with no cones down.
Straighten it out, straighten it out. Okay, pick up the speed. Let's pick up the speed.
But not for long.
Keep going. To the right, to the right, to the right. Now hard to the left. To the right, to the right, more to the right.
Soon their drive turns into a game of Cone Pac-Man.
More to the right. Okay, to the left, hard to the left. And then to the right. Beautiful. Okay, stop.
We need a new navigator.
Managing the course took a very different turn to what they thought.
How did I do?
Well, I gotta say, together we swerved around the cardboard obstacle perfectly. But it turns out the turns were easy. It was correcting for the straight driving that was more difficult. Right over there is the worst spot.
Like a couple of out-of-sync co-drivers, Adam blamed Jamie.
His ability to correct on the fly on the straightaways was pretty poor, even up to and including his ability to know left from right at times.
And Jamie blamed Adam.
You know, more is like what? You know, it's easy to get confused or not do something enough or too little.
If the guys don't begin to work as one, they're finished.
So Grant, what's with the sweater? Did you retire?
No, I'm not retiring yet. I'm merely appropriately dressed for our next series of myths.
Is the next series of myths about fashion disasters?
No. With over 60 million golfers around the world, it's no surprise that the website's been inundated with requests to do myths about golf. The first one is that a tree is 90% air.
Yeah, I've heard that one. And a lot of golfers say if your ball gets stuck behind a tree, instead of shooting around the tree, it's better to shoot through it because you have a 90% chance of getting through because it's 90% air.
Great. So all we need is a bucket of balls, some golf clubs, camp out behind a tree, see how many we hit through.
Sounds good to me.
From a distance, a tree may look like a solid, impenetrable object. But up close, there's a huge amount of space between its leaves. So huge that some golfers think you have a 90% chance of swinging clean through.
What do you got there? A story about very small things?
Yep. We're talking about millions of tiny organisms that you come into contact with every day. But some of them could have a nasty surprise waiting for you and be really harmful.
I got one that fits that bill. I got a chain letter recently that stated a woman had died from a deadly pathogen she contracted drinking from a soda can tainted with rat urine.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, let's get to it.
Okay.
Wherever there are rats, filth follows. But are soda cans really contaminated by rat pee? And if they are, could drinking directly from the can be deadly?
So how do you want to test this?
Well, you know, this myth is so pervasive, we need to get it right. And that means we need to have a nice, large sample size.
Okay, and I think we should start with a positive pee control so that we know what rat urine looks like, we know how to test for it, we know how to know when it's there.
And we need to just get a whole passel of rats, a bunch of cans, and let nature take its course, huh?
Is passel the collective noun for rats?
I don't know.
Well, actually, it's a horde, swarm, rabble, or pack of rats. But before they get started...
But I don't understand. How is it possible that rat pee could kill you? Yes, it's not rat pee itself that could kill you. It's the fact that rat pee could potentially carry both leptospirosis and hantavirus that makes it potentially dangerous. I see.
According to this myth, deadly pathogens transfer from rat through rat urine to soda can, and from there to people. So first, they're starting with a positive control.
Now, normally we certify our tasty, tasty MythBusters Cola as both a life-extending elixir and rat pee free. Until today. Today, 1,000 of these puppies are going to be set up as a rat run to be used as what we like to call a control for exposure to rat pee.
Adam and Jamie will hone their rat pee tracking technique before moving on to test real-world soda cans.
So why go to all this trouble to clean the cans just to have rats pee on them? Well, it's because all we want to find is rat pee, not random dirt or other false positives that may be introduced into our test. So we scrub every single one. And I gotta say, looking at 1,000 cans, there's a lot of dirt to be cleaned up.
Now that the cans are pristine, let the rodent incontinence begin.
This little guy right here is Rattus norvegicus, otherwise known as the wharf rat or the sewer rat, the brown rat or the common rat. They're the dominant rat species in the northern hemisphere, and they were held responsible for the Black Plague in the Middle Ages, which killed tens of millions of people. However, technically it was the fleas they carried, not the rats themselves, that caused the plague.
And now it's their urine taking the blame. But is it deadly? The rats aren't shy in helping the guys find out.
Oh, I see some rat urine on a can.
Nice! This is awesome.
This is one of those sounds that you'll only hear on MythBusters. Sound of 40 rats on 1,000 cans.
And after 90 minutes of the pitter-patter of ratty feet,
the rat party is wrapped.
Let's put them back in their cages.
There's certainly rat pee on those cans. And the first tracking technique? Blacklight.
Did you know that rat pee fluoresces under blacklight? Well, that's the next thing we're going to do. We're going to get some blacklights and go take a look for them. I feel like I'm one of those police procedural dramas.
And with plenty of glowing puddles...
It's got to be urine.
It lights up like a pinball machine. Oh, this one is so gross. Look at that.
The boys are positive that the blacklight is the perfect way to pinpoint the pee.
Well, that's gross. I guess it's time to collect our real-world random samples now.
Well, we better get started. We've got 1,000 cans to collect from all over the city.
1,000. Okay, let's do it. Let's say this red ball represents our shooter. Let's say the cue ball here represents the bullet from his gun. The myth is that our shooter can fire a bullet and can bounce off 1, 2, 3 surfaces and come back and kill the shooter.
Well, that'd ruin your day.
I know. Let's test it.
Okay.
The myth takes place in a half-built skyscraper. It's a pin-up parable for poetic justice. One angry shot at just the wrong angle misses the target, ricochets off 3 steel beams, and returns to the shooter in less than a heartbeat.
So how do you want to start this one?
Well, I figure we need to start with some kind of a controlled situation. You know, a bench test.
Well, to my mind, that just means we set up 3 adjustable steel plates, probably in our bunker, fire a gun into them, and see if it ricochets off all 3 plates and kills its shooter.
Works for me.
All right. You ready to let all hell break loose in here?
Yep.
From bear bunker to ballistic death trap, the transformation is fast and efficient. Jamie first strips down, then mounts the weapon of choice, a .45 caliber pistol, while Adam takes charge of the Vice Squad.
Nice. That's not going anywhere.
Nor is this test, unless they get everything right in the setup. If the placement of plates and the gun isn't perfect, they'll be here all day.
3 steel plates and 3 vices and 1 .45 caliber pistol, and what we've got here is pretty much the bench test setting up the circumstances of this myth, in which this pistol will release its bullet, firing it into plate number 1, where it will reflect off, in theory at least, at a 90-degree angle into plate number 2, doing the same to plate number 3, and hopefully coming all the way back around to where it started, potentially killing its shooter. Now, to make sure that everything's set up nice and Jake, I'm going to use some mirrors and a laser.
With the help of predictive technology, they're doing Pythagoras proud. The final angle won't quite make a perfect diamond, but there's method behind this deliberate misdeflection.
Yeah, it brings the path of the bullet back here so that we hopefully don't hit the gun.
Okay.
I don't want to hurt it.
Adam has no such concerns about punching a hole in his partner in crime.
I brought some motivation for our gun. I brought a shooter.
That looked badass.
Yeah. I figured we put him right here, and if there's any meat on the bones of this, he's going to end up with a bullet hole on him.
Okay.
So what we've got set up inside the bunker right now is a really idealized situation. In actuality, I'm not so sure it's going to make it perfectly all the way through. I don't know. I've seen a lot about bullets when they hit metal objects, and I'm expecting some spatter.
And they both seem to think that the spatter will matter.
Bullets aren't lasers, and in fact, the bullet we're using is going to be made out of lead. These plates are made out of steel, and if you put lead against steel, steel wins. In other words, that bullet's going to deform seriously when it hits a steel plate.
Adam puts paper to steel to help mark the points of impact. When he's done, Jamie carefully loads the weapon.
Bunker's hot.
And they're ready to shoot with intent to kill Dirty Jamie.
This is ricocheting bullet. Ideal scenario. And 3, 2, 1. I only see one plate with a mark on it. Second plate doesn't have anything.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it?
On closer inspection, that turns out to be an understatement.
I can already see what's going on here. Look at the back wall.
Yeah, all right along here. It's spread out almost 4 feet. So much for, like, ding, 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 it just went shotgun.
It looks like the lead bullet shattered, and the high-speed replay confirms their consternation.
Well, that didn't work.
And there's your problem. That bullet came in and it just kind of laid flat right along the plate.
It did. It was so beautiful. It followed the line just perfectly with fire behind it, just gorgeous, and then...
Yeah, there's got to be a bullet that holds together better than that.
Yeah, I think so.
Time to dip into Jamie's private stash. Yep, the guys intend to put the blowtorch on 3 everyday types of fire extinguisher.
The myth that a fire extinguisher can fall into a fire and extinguish the entire fire is sort of general. It doesn't tell what kind of fire extinguisher. So we went and got every single kind we could. We have water, we have carbon dioxide, and we have chemical foam. One of these might work.
First up for the slide ride into the fire is the most common type of fire extinguisher, CO2. And to understand why carbon dioxide is used as a fire retardant, here's Fire Physics 101. Fire needs 3 things in order to burn: oxygen, fuel, and heat. Remove one, and the chain reaction fizzles out. Which is exactly how CO2 works. Being heavier than air, it blankets the flames, replaces the oxygen, and the fire triangle collapses. But if you chuck a high-pressure CO2 canister onto a fire, will it actually blow up and put the fire out?
Now this one is under the most pressure, 800 psi, but it's probably the least likely to explode because it has a pressure release valve, and this prevents it from exploding.
And carries cocksure, it'll be a fizzer.
There is no way a fire extinguisher is going to fail so catastrophically that it explodes and then extinguishes the fire.
But despite everyone's conviction, she and Grant hunker in the bunker, while Tori, with his pre-flight check complete, launches the CO2 tank.
Ready? Ready?
Run, Tori, run!
And then beats a hasty retreat. Down the hill, Tori only just has time to get his breath back.
It sounds like something's hissing.
Yeah, the safety valve released.
Before the experiment fizzles out, as the pressure relief valve does its job. And 15 minutes later, it's empty.
It's a good testament to the safety feature that's built in there. It's designed in an overpressure situation, such as raising temperature, to vent all the CO2 safely. As far as this myth goes, it's busted for the CO2.
Hold your flaming horses, Grant. There are still 2 other types of extinguisher to test, water and foam. And unlike the CO2, neither has a safety valve. Will flinging a fire extinguisher into a fire make it explode and put said fire out? Carrie, Grant, and Tori have tried a CO2 canister, but it was a fizzer. So, how about a water extinguisher?
It's a relatively simple system. This is a pressurized tank, and it's meant to have both liquid and gas in it. Put this in the fire, heats up the water, creates steam, increasing the pressure, and hopefully rupturing the tank.
Unlike the CO2 tank that's stored at 800 psi, the water extinguisher is only under 100 psi. But it has no safety valve. And we know what happens when you add heat to a sealed water container.
When Jamie and Adam did exploding water heater, they found that by having less water in their pressure vessel, they could generate more steam and thus a bigger explosion. But what we're after here is actually putting out the fire. So I'm not going to empty the tank all the way down to the bottom. I'm just going to empty halfway because we're still going to have some water to try and put out the fire with.
So while our twisted fire starters do their thing, let's get a prediction from Carrie.
Even if there's a rupture, I don't see the fire going out. This is a big fire, and I just don't think that there's going to be enough explosion to put it out completely.
All right, so the fire is ready. So this is water extinguisher.
All right, let's do it.
In 3, 2, 1.
At over 1,000 degrees, the burning coals rapidly convert the water inside the tank to steam under ever-increasing pressure. And remember, there's no safety valve on this one.
Hopefully we'll get a rupture.
So then water will go everywhere and put out the fire if the myth is true. If not, it's busted.
Yep. Right.
And 5 minutes in...
Oh, look, it's ruptured. It's actually spraying out water right now.
But the volume of water is insignificant compared to the size of the fire.
No explosion, no fire going out.
No. In fact, right now, that's not any more effective on the fire than, like a tea kettle.
Yeah.
It's going to take something with a little more kick to snuff out this fire. But at the 9-minute mark, the canister has conniptions. Their goal is to discover which of the various possible combinations of cup contents will impart the most force on impact. And speaking of the force, here's the Yoda of soda.
So there you have it, our potentially deadly styrofoam cup. Now, for the purposes of our experimentation, I'm going to want to know exactly how much energy this cup imparts to something it hits, whether it's empty or filled with different substances. How am I going to do that? With this, a load cell. This little button here can tell me when I hit it with something exactly how much energy is transferred from the object to the load cell. But here we got an object that's too big and a load cell that's too small, so I'm going to increase the surface area of my load cell by placing it between these 2 nice heavy steel plates. Now, when this cup hits this first steel plate, that will transfer the energy to the button and tell me exactly how much energy this potentially lethal cup might have. It's ready.
With the force plate in place, the guys will be able to accurately compare the impact of each cup fired from the cannon.
Off at a rakish angle, I like it. So this is how this works. We've got our specially made pressure tank with a built-in fast-acting valve. Now when we open that valve, all that air comes out at high speed, heads straight down the barrel. Our cup comes out the end, hits this plate, pushes on the load cell. Bob's your uncle.
So, Robert's your mother's brother.
Every target needs a motivation. Yeah.
And Jamie is the light at the end of the tunnel. But before Jamie gets a face full of soda, 3D Jamie wants to check the cannon is working with some alternative ammunition.
Bet you've never seen a 100-mile-an-hour feather boa before.
An interesting choice, and surely a world first.
Ready for test fire number 1. In 3, 2, 1.
Wow!
That thing's got a lot of kick to it.
That's my new favorite toy.
So So Fall Guys, what are we, testing myths about 80s TV shows?
Ooh, can we do A-Team next?
Yes and no. Yes, we can get to the A-Team, and no, we are not testing myths about 80s TV shows. We're actually going to test the myths about falling, or more accurately, not falling.
So you're talking about like the classic Hollywood scenario where somebody's hanging on to a high edge using nothing but their fingertips.
Exactly.
This sounds awesome.
To cling on by your fingertips is a classic silver screen cliche. Apparently, in any action movie, the hero can hang on indefinitely. But are any of the many variations really viable? To find out, the team will take on two of the most common. First, can you really just hang on until help comes along? Then, hauling yourself into a helicopter. Is it fact or film fiction?
You guys, I have the perfect place to test this. There's a fire training tower in Pleasanton. It's got ledges all around, easily accessible rooftop, and it's pretty tall.
Well, as far as the hang time test goes, there's one thing I'd like to add, and that's edge thickness, and see how that affects how long you can hold on to.
Okay, well, we can build something that clamps onto the ledge that we can easily adjust from 4 inches to ½ an inch. Then we can correlate hang time to ledge thickness.
Well, since we're going to be working from heights, it's going to be pretty dangerous. So why don't we get a professional climber to come in? That way we'll be belayed. So if we do fall, no one gets hurt.
And you know, we can use hand to see how well a professional does compared to us average Joes.
What are we waiting for?
So the team head on out to hang out at the perfect place to, hang out.
All right, now when we talked about this in the blueprint room, it seemed pretty straightforward. Whoa, this is high. I mean, we just grab onto an edge and see how long we can hang on. But now, standing on top of the 75-foot building, I'm wondering, is this really necessary? I mean, can't we just test this hanging off a door frame?
Well, not really, because a key component of this myth is motivation, and hanging from a great height will ramp up the fear factor. But just in case that's not enough, here's a quick demo.
So we've got the perfect building for our experiment. The only thing that we're missing is adrenaline. Now, undoubtedly, when you're hanging on for your life, adrenaline is going to give you that little extra boost of oxygen and sugar that might help you hang on long enough for help to arrive. Now, just to get our juices flowing, we're going to demonstrate for you what would happen if something went horribly, horribly wrong with our old pal Buster. Look out below!
Buster is falling from 70 feet. By the time he gets to the ground, he's going to be traveling at 45 miles an hour. But I mean, look at him right now. He actually looks pretty good. Oh, except for that.
So what's the story?
Well, I've been thinking, wouldn't it be cool if we were action heroes in our own movie and some bad guys were trying to blow us up, but we managed to escape?
Is that a harp I'm hearing?
Shush, here comes the clip.
It's a climactic cinema cliche. Our heroes are trapped on a boat, and a bomb's about to explode. To escape certain death, they take the plunge. And after a huge kaboom, resurface completely unharmed.
So you're wondering whether diving underwater could help protect you from an injury in the case of an explosion?
Exactly.
Sounds like a blast.
The MythBusters are no strangers to shockwaves, testing if they can cushion a fall.
Wow, here comes the shockwave.
Fuse metal, and even make diamonds. But what actually causes one? A shockwave is created when the rapidly expanding gases inside an explosion travel faster than the speed of sound. And it's this shock front that causes a wave of destruction. But can you avoid imminent annihilation by leaping into water? Well, to find out, the MythBusters are hunkering in the bunker for a proof of concept.
So what's this tank all about? Well, Jamie and I wanted to build an experiment that allowed us to see the propagation of a shockwave in water versus air, i.e. in a high impedance fluid as opposed to a low impedance fluid. So, with a little bit of acrylic, a little number 16 acrylic glue, some caulk, and some 1032 button-headed and countersunk screws, I put together this bifurcated tank with the plan to fill this half with water and that half with dry ice fog, or air that we can visualize. We're going to put a firecracker right up here in the center, explode it, and hopefully we'll be able to view that same shockwave in the two different media and see if there's a difference on the high-speed camera.
And for that, Jamie's turned to string theory. These will hang in the water and move if a shockwave hits. With the tanks filled and a firecracker primed, stand by for mayhem in miniature.
Everything's perfect.
Ah, I saw the water move.
Well, let's see how it looked on the high speed.
But a closer look at the high speed reveals not much, actually.
I think we need something bigger than this firecracker.
I think we do. We're going to juice things up a bit. This little firecracker only has a few grains of flash powder in it. If you happen to hold on to this, it'd give you a nasty little burn and make your fingers numb. Officer Smith, I think we need something a little bigger. Can you hook us up?
The M80.
That ought to do it. This thing has a few grams of flash powder in it. If you held on to it, your fingers are going away. It's going to give us enough of a shockwave to do the job.
With shockwaves, apparently size matters. Cue the M80.
Come on, baby. That was loud.
And interestingly, I saw the fog move, but not the water.
Well, let's check it out on high speed. I didn't see much. Did you?
I'm seeing the smoke move around. See that divot there?
Remember, they're looking for proof that a shockwave behaves differently in water to air. But the shockwaves aren't showing up on the close-up. So for a bigger boom, it's back to Officer Smith.
The M1000.
Ah, more?
About 100 times more.
Hopefully that should tie up Jamie's loose threads.
Oh, it's getting close. There it comes. Whoa! I think we're going to have seen something.
I think so. Oh, did that blow the door open? There's water on the ceiling. That's always a good sign.
Yeah.
A good sign, but once again the high-speed replay has the same problem. There's no clear shot of the shockwave.
It's reacting, but they seem to be reacting differently somehow.
Well, they're not telling us what we want to see. I think we're going to have to concoct a different test if we're going to learn whether or not there's a difference between a shockwave in the water and a shockwave in the air.
I think you're right. We're done here.
Okay.
Next up is an actual prank. Let me start with a question. Have you ever gone to sleepaway camp?
I was a camp counselor for years.
Okay, did you ever play pranks on the kids in your charge?
Of course. In fact, that was a job requirement.
Ever take a sleeping person's hand and dip it in a bowl of warm water to see if they'd wet themselves?
Actually, no, but I have always wondered about that one.
You're not gonna have to wonder much longer because we're gonna put it to the test.
Well, all right then.
Aside from our sleeping human guinea pigs, the only piece of equipment the team requires for this test is this moisture-activated voice alarm.
So how is it that these shiny strips of metal are able to detect liquid? Well, when water crosses over two of these strips, it'll allow a minute amount of electrical current to pass through it, and this alarm right here is sensitive enough to detect that and start yelling at me.
Oh my God, what the hell are you doing?
When it does.
Next, the guys need a place to sleep.
Got my jammies. I'm ready to go to work.
And here at the California Sleep Lab, in this bedroom with a view, they've got state-of-the-art monitoring equipment.
This looks comfy. A lovely plastic sheet.
This is a camp prank, a staple of camp pranks the world over for generations, I swear. And it is simply that if you take a sleeping person's hand and place it in a bowl of warm water, that person will involuntarily wet themselves in their bed.
Oh my God, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah. Now, we researched the heck out of this, and we got tons of anecdotal evidence, but nobody seems to have studied it, and that's where we come in.
All right, so we're gonna start your hookup now?
Okay.
We have come to the California Center for Sleep Disorders, and Jamie and I are each going to take turns being the test subject. One of us will fall asleep in this bed, and when we reach the correct phase of sleep, the other one will sneak in with a bowl of water and see if this is in fact true.
Do I think this is going to work? Well, in my case, not so much.
As it happens, I'm a very light sleeper, and my suspicion is that if somebody comes in the middle of the night and tries to mess with my hand, the other one's going to hit him square in the face.
And that is surely the key stumbling block for this myth.
Is he sucking his thumb?
Unless they are absolutely out for the count, getting the sleeper's hand into the water without waking them up will be tough. But that's where clinical director Michael Salemi comes in.
His eyes are closed, but he's definitely not asleep.
With all the electrodes on Jamie's head, what are we looking at there?
These are his eyes right here, and we're looking at eye movements, and this is his EEG. So we're looking at his brainwave patterns here to see if there's any changes that would indicate that he's actually fallen asleep.
Basically, by monitoring the brain's electrical activity, we can tell how deep is Jamie's sleep. Stages 1 and 2 are light transitional stages that won't be ideal for this test. Stage 3, also called slow wave sleep, is the goal. Here, brain activity is significantly reduced and the sleeper is less easily woken. But Jamie's playing hard to get.
He's not sleeping. He's waiting.
And Adam, geared up with night vision goggles, loses patience and goes in.
Oh, you're totally awake. You've had like 2 hours, man.
Sorry. Nice get up.
Thank you. I think your time is up. I think it's my turn.
Okay. Well, I don't mean to be a party pooper, but no sleep, no results.
So, I was right about Jamie not sleeping. He was waiting, and he waited us out. He waited so long we had to throw him out as a test subject. I've always wanted the cyber hair extensions, and now it's my turn.
As soon as Adam's down, he's out. And finally, things are looking up. Or are they?
Although Adam dropped asleep really quickly, he may not be a very good candidate for this either, because Adam has sleep apnea, which means that he's struggling for air from time to time and it's waking him up. So he may not be able to get down into that deep sleep that we need him to be at to do this trick.
But before the team runs out of patience, Adam finally descends into stage 3 sleep. However, there's another complication.
Both of his hands are under his head, so I don't know what to do other than try it. If he doesn't wake up, maybe we'll get what we need.
It's the MythBusters MacGyver special.
It's time to take the antics of one Angus MacGyver, place him under the MythBusters microscope and separate fact from fiction. Are you ready?
The fans begged for it, so we're doing it. Mac versus the MythBusters. He's one of the boys' all-time heroes. But there comes a time when the student must challenge the master.
Ask me why I'm swinging this bottle around.
Okay, why are you swinging this bottle around?
This has to do with the very first MacGyver myth we're actually testing, which we're calling sodium jailbreak.
In this episode, Mac needs a hole in a wall in a hurry. Knowing that alkaline metals react violently with water, he packs pure sodium inside a gel cap and drops it in a bottle filled with water. The capsule works like a fuse. By the time it dissolves, Mac and his special new friend have time to duck and cover. It's all very clever, but would it really work? Just to be safe, they wheel in a mobile, see-through laboratory for the small-scale tests.
Well, I pulled out the birds in a truck. It's got the whole clear side. I'm going to park that outside Jamie's shop.
With Jamie scouting locations for the full-scale test, Tori volunteers to help Adam build the test rig. With a pulley, a weight,
Yeah, perfect.
a bowl of water, and a glass vial of metal sodium, Adam hopes to test the explosive potential without bringing the house down. They're using an open bowl of water, not a sealed bottle. So if there's any truth to this at all, we should get the show without the shrapnel.
I'll cut that string, break the glass that the sodium's in, release it into the water, and show us what happens.
Pure sodium is so volatile, it could even react with moisture in the air. So, better safe than singed.
That's why I am so well protected from any kind of splashback, toxicity, anything. Nothing can get inside my suit, and with the face shield on, I think I'm properly protected.
Giant banana number 2 reduces the risk by painting the tray with mineral oil. This gasoline byproduct stops alkali metals from reacting with atmospheric water.
Kind of like a cooking show, except it'll kill you.
Okay, so now it's sitting on the mineral oil. Everyone eyes open, this is for real. It's scary.
The sodium metal cuts just like butter.
Look at that.
Whoa.
That is far out.
So that, oh my gosh.
All right, so
That's just metal.
2 small slices make 1 thin gram, and that's exactly what MacGyver used to blow a hole in a wall.
1 gram of sodium, it looks so innocuous. It's part of table salt, for crying out loud.
Good luck.
I'll see you at the shield.
Be careful.
Hey, Adam's middle name is Careful. Then again, his last name is, well, let's get on with it. They'll do this test twice. First, with the vial sitting on top of the water.
So this is sodium surface test in 3, 2, 1.
Wah, wah.
No, it's gonna take a second.
There you go.
That was cool. It wasn't a single reaction. It was like a pow, 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 which actually lends credence to the MacGyver clip in which there are 2 bangs, not just 1.
But will this bonsai 4th of July ever be big enough to blow a man-sized hole through solid masonry? The boys repeat the test with a sodium vial immersed in water.
From what I understand from the science, being under the water is probably going to be less of a reaction than being on top of the water.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, let's find out.
This is sodium underwater. In 3, 2, 1. That looks like it worked.
Yeah. Whoa! That was a bigger one.
Yeah.
You have to wonder if Adam ever gets tired of being wrong. MacGyver got it right, and that's a good enough result for Jamie to call in the contractors.
Okay, you guys are gonna build a wall. We're gonna blow it up, but do a good job anyway. Let's go.
You guys like baseball?
Are you kidding? I love going to the ball game.
Well, so do our fans, and they have inundated us with baseball myths to bust.
So what have we got?
Can a corked bat hit a ball further?
And what about whether sliding into base is quicker than running?
How about the one, does a dry ball go farther than a humid ball?
Exactly. And can you hit a baseball so hard, you knock the hide right off?
Sweet.
And we have got a real baseball legend to help us out.
Who?
None other than the Roger Clemens.
Roger Clemens? How did we get him?
Turns out the Rockets fan of the show.
Let's play ball.
That's right, it's the MythBusters and the MythBuster. He's one of the all-time baseball greats, pitcher Roger Clemens. In a career spanning more than 20 years, the man they call the Rocket has won a World Series and taken out the prestigious Cy Young Award an amazing 7 times. He also happens to be a big fan of MythBusters. And Jamie's stammering with excitement.
I'm speechless to have the Roger Clemens here helping us deal with these baseball issues.
Later in the show, we'll study the mojo of the throw and answer once and for all the age-old question: can a baseball really slide and curve? Or is it just an optical illusion?
I'm gonna try and give it my best out here so you can tell what this baseball actually does with these high-speed cameras.
We'll return to Roger later. In the meantime, our first baseball myth's a real corker.
Man, how great is it to have Roger Clemens helping us do baseball myths?
Yep, can't wait to see him do his stuff.
Well, our first myth is a total classic, the Corked Bat.
What's a corked bat about?
Here's the idea. You drill a hole in the end of a normal regulation Major League Baseball bat, you put some cork in there, you plug it back in with wood, and that bat is all of a sudden able to hit balls a lot farther.
Is that legal in baseball?
It's ever so slightly totally illegal.
Huh.
You bet it's illegal. In 2003, the baseball world was rocked when star slugger Sammy Sosa's bat split during a game, exposing a cork core. He claimed it was a practice bat he'd picked up by mistake, but Sosa was immediately ejected from the game and suspended for 7 matches.
What do you think our general plan is?
Well, we get a bunch of bats, figure out how to cork some of them, and see which one will hit a ball further.
I think we should remove the human element from this as much as we can. Let's make a machine that swings the bat at the exact same speed every time.
Yeah, and while we're at it, we need to do the same sort of thing with a ball, only we can use a cannon instead of the swinging machine.
You know what? I'm thinking that we've already built everything we need to test this myth for previous episodes. We don't need to go out anywhere. It's all right here in the shop.
Yeah, a few modifications maybe, but they'll work.
Excellent.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a MythBusters first. No blueprint diagrams, no time-consuming builds. This baseball myth will be totally off the shelf.
Cary Grant and Tori built a sword swinging rig when they were doing sword cutting a sword. That's perfect for swinging a baseball bat. And 2, Jamie and I already built an air-powered cannon. That is so wrong. Which is perfect for throwing baseballs at speeds well up to the supersonic range, I think. All right, here we go. I'm flicking the switch.
First, a test firing, just to blow away the cobwebs.
That's a nice download, man. That is fast.
Now, a Roger Clemens fastball fizzes towards the batter at between 90 and 100 miles per hour.
There we go.
But Adam and Jamie will go for a more average fastball speed, about 80 miles an hour.
Let's just quickly try 7 psi.
The air pressure required to do that is around 7.5 pounds per square inch.
At
7.5 psi.
Here we go.
79 miles per hour. Close enough.
All right, you guys, get ready for this one. Crocodile myth.
Is it that they live in the sewers?
No.
Is it the crocodiles have tears?
No. This one is, if you're getting chased by a crocodile, you can easily escape it by running in a zigzag pattern, because they cannot turn corners.
In the water, the crocodile is a lightning-quick ambush predator. In that explosive split second when they strike, crocodile lunges have been clocked at around 30 miles an hour. Lunging is one thing, running is another. According to the myth, if you're being chased by a crocodile, all you have to do is run in a zigzag, because their long bodies and short legs cannot make sharp turns.
All right, you guys, this one seems a little dangerous. How do you think we should test it?
Let's use Buster first. We'll build a rig that pulls him in a straight line, and then one that pulls him in a zigzag.
Well, let's try to make this a little interesting instead of just sticking a stake to Buster's butt. Maybe we can make a pair of meat legs.
How do you make meat legs?
Don't ask me.
Guess that'll be your job. We'll build the rig.
The plan is to dangle a dummy from a remote-controlled trolley, which moves from side to side. The trolley, in turn, will be suspended from a steel track. As the trolley is pulled along the track, those juicy meat legs will zigzag. Then they'll take the rig to a croc farm and see if they can make some reptiles run. But this time, believe it or not, Buster's off the hook.
The rig that we're going to have to put up is going to be suspended. Therefore, my Buster needs to be really, really lightweight. I'm going to make him entirely out of foam for a torso, and then I might have a little surprise for his legs.
Soon, a new foam Buster is rising like a cake in an oven.
As you can see, he's very light, and it's not going to put a whole lot of strain on the rig.
This new lightweight Buster hasn't got a leg to stand on, but Carrie has a pair of meat legs all mapped out.
What are these?
They're fishnet stockings.
He'll be wearing fishnet stockings.
Give me all your cash!
And they'll be stuffed with quail. But these are not like any frozen bird you might find in your supermarket.
See,
Oh my God!
I can't do this.
They got feathers on them still.
I can't do this.
You know what? They're not even gutted.
It's a quail sickle.
Put it down! Put it down! No, seriously.
I've never
You are
juggled dead quails
you are
before.
So messed up. Put these down, go back to working whatever you're working on, because I have a really busy day of putting dead birds in sexy lingerie.
Now, there's a sentence you don't hear every day. And here's another. Carrie has to choose the lingerie least likely to come apart while being chewed.
You got nylon, you got spandex, you got cotton, and I need to test and see which one of these are going to be the best for the crocodiles to be able to hold on to.
With the different stocking stuffed, Carrie takes a scalpel and makes like a crocodile tooth.
I think I'm going with the 100% cotton fishnet stockings.
Adam and Jamie are trying to get a handle on the Hindenburg blaze.
Wow!
Was the airship's metallic paint to blame? The paint on this panel matches the one on the doomed airship. It contains aluminum and iron oxide, two compounds that combine to create explosive thermite. Will they get a reaction? Adam puts flame to the frame.
Go.
No thermite reaction, no intense heat. In fact, it takes 5.5 minutes for the panel to be consumed. That's almost twice as long as the aluminum-coated cotton.
It's almost identical to the cloth by itself.
Wow.
Hang on, guys. Don't write off this myth yet. That was one little panel. The Hindenburg was covered in thousands of square feet of material. Could there be a better boom on a bigger scale?
I mean, maybe there's some crazy amount that could yield an energetic reaction, but it's not this amount.
Obviously, the Hindenburg's designers didn't set out to coat their creation in rocket fuel. Those who pan the paint theory say the aluminum and iron oxide couldn't have formed thermite because the compounds weren't mixed that way. The recipe was completely different. So that's got the MythBusters curious. What would happen if you did paint pure thermite on the skin?
It's more like a paste than a paint, but I think we can smear it on.
Next up.
Whoa, mega dope.
So where do we start?
Well, I think we should start and find out how long it takes to make a flint arrowhead as opposed to a sharpened stick. Let's have a race. You should make some flint ones, and I'll sharpen some sticks, and we'll compare production times.
Yeah, and when it comes to testing time, we need to both look at their lethality as well as their accuracy, because they're both important.
I agree. So if you're ready, time to dust off those flint knapping skills, because if I'm right, it's about 70 years since you've done it last.
And they're off. First up in this archaeology anecdote, Adam and Jamie go head-to-head in an arrow-making time trial. Stickmaker Savage has made a razor-sharp point in no time at all. But Jamie's finding fashioning flint is far from easy.
Okay. 3.5 minutes.
I can't even come close to competing with that.
There's no contest. Jamie's been shafted. But he keeps chipping away, and an hour later, finally finishes.
We've just seen that it takes much longer to make a stone arrowhead. Now we need to find out if that makes for better arrows. And to do that, we're going to start with a simple lethality test. We'll make some more flint heads, we'll make some more pointed sticks, and we'll fire them into a ballistics gel dummy from a point-blank range. To make sure that both arrow types are fired consistently, we're going to use the automatic archer that we built for the Ninja Special.
So, that's the plan. But what does our resident Neanderthal think is going to happen? Well said. So, with the predictions in place, it's time to get to the point.
All right, you ready?
Go for it.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
Worked like a charm.
Totally.
The sharp stick shot straight as an arrow. But what about the all-important penetration?
Wow. 8.5 inches.
8.5 inches ain't bad. But will the flint be flung further?
Okay, here goes the arrowhead in 3, 2, 1. Look at that. That is pretty clear. The arrowhead went a good inch farther.
There's a glint of flint at the back of the bust and 1 inch more penetration, confirmed by a bunch more tests. But Jamie spotted a problem.
The ballistics medium by itself is a good flesh analog, but animals usually have fur and hide and things like that on it. So we're going to run the test again and see whether we get any kind of different results with this on it.
Despite the hide slightly hindering both the stick and flint arrows, the results are the same.
Actually, they were very close.
But is that enough to justify all the effort of making one?
This one went in this far, this one went in this far. I mean, you're dead either way.
Right. However, you know, if you think about the animals that are being hunted, some of them are quite large, and you want a bigger wound. You want it to bleed out faster. So I think the arrowhead makes quite a difference. I mean, if you look here, yeah, look at that. There's the pointy stick wound. It's just a little hole, and there's the arrowhead wound. It's nice and wide.
But Jamie isn't impressed. In his mind, the size of the entry wound isn't the issue.
In terms of penetration, it was only about 5% difference, and yet it took 1,000% longer to make this one than this one. So it may not just be about lethality, it might also be about accuracy, and that's what we have to test next.
Yep, they're leaving no stone unturned for this myth.
MythBusters.
Nope, we haven't made this up. It's a myth straight from the fan side.
For the next viewer myth, a fan wants to know if you can chop down a tree with a machine gun.
Oh, just like in the movie Predator, where they mow down a chunk of the jungle.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, that's funny you should say that, because every time I go hiking in the forest and I'm just like, can I cut that tree down with a machine gun?
Perfect. You're gonna find out.
Tree lovers, huggers, and hippies beware. Tories all fired up and ready to uproot this myth with some machine gun mayhem. Machine guns are a formidable weapon and have been in use for over 100 years. Their deadly spray of bullets, lethal on the battlefield, is, or so the fans claim, the ideal tool for tree felling. Gather around the hot tub, folks. It's going to be glacial.
So what's the myth?
Well, we are dressed for cold weather, and that's good because we're going to test whether or not you can start an avalanche by yodeling. So it's time to get those vocal cords ready.
You think I can yodel?
I know you can.
You think I'm gonna yodel?
No, I don't.
This alpine myth is as old as the hills. Can this beloved form of melodious mountain song set off a mighty avalanche? The idea isn't as nonsensical as it sounds. In previous audio experiments, the guys proved that sound waves from the human voice are powerful enough to shatter glass and even extinguish a flame. Now, using the same notion in this ultimate auditory myth, we're going to try to bring a mountain to its knees.
You know, if we're doing myths on avalanches, we need to go to the mountains.
I think you're right. I think we will. But first, why don't we try some scale experiments here in the shop? See what we can learn about them before we go.
Sure, why not?
Before heading out, Adam makes a mountain by building a fiberboard tray and attaches it to a tiltable stand.
Instead of making a mountain shape, we've gone with a flat plane to eliminate the variables of the topography of the mountain.
They've got their mountain, now they need some winter weather. The guys secure a wooden frame to the scissor lift and staple a sheet of fly screen to the base. A couple of small pancake motors mounted on the corners will really get things shaking.
Oh, that's great.
Next, they spread a thick layer of flour over the mesh.
The screen is hopefully going to snow down our flour in a really nice, even fashion. And then, let's see if we can't start an avalanche here in the shop in scale. Okay, here we go.
They raise their giant sifter to the sky.
We're gonna have flour everywhere.
And let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
You could use this for rolling out dough and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
In mountainous regions, the most common and destructive kind of avalanche is called a slab avalanche, when a strong, cohesive layer of snow forms on top of weak snow. All it needs is a trigger to break loose. So it's crucial for Adam and Jamie to get their scale test poised at the most precarious point possible.
135, 36.
As the flour slowly builds up, they wait and watch for the exact point it all comes tumbling down.
316, 320.
So I'm gonna kill it at 330. Oh.
It went at exactly 320.
Now that they've got the trigger point timed right on the verge, Jamie grooms the run. They recoat the slope.
316, 320.
Kill it?
Okay.
And are ready to make some noise.
I think it's really hair trigger.
Okay.
Okay, let me give you the decibel meter. So start out at 60, and if I go higher than that, just start dialing it up.
Adam may not be a professional yodeler.
I'm gonna yodel at a soft volume and slowly build up.
But who doesn't know and love such movie classics as Heidi and The Sound of Music? His strange warble wouldn't have startled a mountain goat.
That was 90.
That's giving me a headache.
Okay. Well.
I can't imagine what it's doing to you.
Well, it definitely did nothing to the snow.
All right, well, that's about as loud as I can get. I think it's time to go to the megaphone.
Okay.
A megaphone should take this scale test to the max.
Is it off the charts?
Yeah, that was maxing it out at 120.
120, that's like as loud as a jet engine, right?
Not quite.
Not quite. All right, let's try this again.
Aiming the megaphone toward a different part of the mountain might hit the right note.
Oh! That is a result.
That was a hair trigger, and it went. It went with sound from your voice.
Oodle-hee-hoo. This alpine tale may just be true.